Oh,
Mr. Duncan,
Here.
Mr. Portillo,
Here.
Mr. Bider,
Here.
Mr. Vitolo,
Here.
That's
Chairman
probably
Lind.
usually my mic.
Here.
I've never used them.
all right, has everybody had a chance to review the agenda proposed?
Yes.
Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's see, we'll go on to communications correspondence, public comment.
We had one comment, but the person that submitted didn't realize it was going to the rec board. So essentially, it wasn't anything for the rec board, so we have 0 public comment.
Okay. All right, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting in October?
Yes.
Is there any additions or deletions to the minutes as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
All motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Treasurer's report, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, thank you. Beginning balance, Rock Springs National was $340,061.15. There was interest earned for the period of $45.49. County treasurer receipts of $649,978.50. There was a transfer from WGIF to Rock Springs National Bank of $875,000 and a transfer from Rock Springs National Bank to WGIF for $650,000. And there was a reimbursement back to the general fund of $1,214,773.74 for an ending balance of $311.40. For WGIF, the beginning balance was $9,387,211.60. There were interest of $909.65. There was a transfer from the WGF of $875,000 and a transfer in of $650,000 for an ending balance of $9,163,121.25.
Okay. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
All motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, we'll move on to board action on the approval of rec board warrants and reimbursements of general fund.
Okay, so for the reimbursement to the general fund, check 1067, a total of $144,168.39. And you can see the jobs that were completed there and the underlying checks for those. So there was a check to Hellas, the Casper Star, Cheney Landscaping, Dectronics, Hoy Electric, SafePay Pro, and Fitness Tech. And so when you approve these, you're approving the reimbursement back to the general fund and the underlying checks for the jobs. There are also 2 transfers between the WGF account and the Rock Springs National Bank account. The first one of $650,000, and that was in November. And that's when we got our county treasurer money. So we moved money into the WGIF to get a little bit extra interest on that. And then we had a transfer today into Rock Springs National Bank of $145,000, and that's to cover the reimbursement check back to the general fund.
Okay. Any questions or comments on the warrants, board warrants and reimbursements to general fund?
No.
If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the board warrants and reimbursements as presented.
All motion.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye. Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Board information, update on rec board projects. Is this Mr. Sorelli?
Actually, it's, those were
Mark?
Mark's projects.
Yes. So to start with, I'll go with the scoreboard. The scoreboard's been completed. Everything's been paid for on that project. We had a few minor issues. We had some LED lights that went bad and they come up right away and fixed them and got that changed out. Luckily, we had spare parts on hand and it was taken care of. So that all went well. UTV was delivered on New Year's Eve. We took possession of that at the high school and all the parts that go along with it. It's on site up at the high school. The track and field project, we've had some issues there that we're working through. I do have a report from our owner's rep. If you folks would like a copy of it, I have one for you. There are some pretty bad deficiencies there that we need to work through. We are working with James Townsley, who's the salesman that we will purchase this from. The person that was in charge of the project from Hellas has been let go. There was quite a few issues with our project and another project that he had that they had determined it just didn't work for them. So, and I think that's part of what our report is. I just got off the phone with James Townsley before I came to this meeting. He assures me that they're going to work through all the issues that we have with all the recommendations from our owner's rep. And there's some pretty extensive recommendations here that he requests. And he assures me that they're going to go through with all of his recommendations. And you can see that on this report, which will mitigate 90% of these issues. There's some things that are already covered up by the track and by the rubber surface that will not be able to be addressed without causing more problems. So it is in here that we require a longer warranty period. And he assures me that the company will give us that letter and we'll have it to cover that.
So is the track going to be usable for this season?
It is, yes. A lot of the things that need to be fixed is more towards the pole vaulting area and down through that curbing area that's between there and the school. And what the mitigation that he recommends will actually make it a better usable surface. That drop from the curb and stuff will be gone. It's going to be brought up to level with plenty of aquadrain added there, and replace all the concrete that's there that can be and without tearing up into the track.
So they're going to have to tear into the track at all? It could cause-
Only over there by the pole vault area, and there's no rubber surface there, so it won't be that damaging to that part of it. So there is that first curb there that they're going to have to probably pull out, add the aquadrain, and they're going to redo that part. Instead of with blacktop, there'll probably be 6 more inches of concrete. That was all determined when we had our site walk with him.
This will all be done this summer?
It's gonna, yeah, they're gonna start the project in the spring and it'll be done. Hopefully not interfere with spring track season. I have talked to Mr. Jasmine, told him that he's gonna need to give us some timelines of what not to mess with and where not to mess with and those kinds of things. Okay.
So Mark, was there an owner's rep on that job? And
There
did these come up as a result of his inspections?
His and some of the stuff that I'd seen, and we had addressed it with the Hellas representative that was there that is no longer there. He just kept brushing them away that we will take care of these, we will take care of these, and they just never got done. There's some things that probably could have been taken care of at the time before rubber surfaces were added, things like that, that he assured us he was going to take care of and never did. So the good thing is between Brent and myself, we took plenty of documented pictures and, you know, we had reports of what we were doing and what we seen and we have, you know, that's one thing Hella said is you guys have a great track record of everything that happened there and they're working really hard to make sure they get on it. So.
Good.
Okay. And like I said, I do have Brent, our owner's reps report. I made copies if any of you guys that want it, so.
I'd like to-
The swimming pool project, of course, we know that was quite a few years ago. We're having some issues again with it leaking. They come up over Christmas break, we drained it and they did some repairs to it. And when we filled it back up, it was actually worse than when we
This
started.
is that sleeve that we put on.
It's
the
the
inside?
liner,
Yeah,
yes.
the liner.
So it turns out that the felt liner that they used underneath this, the felt membrane underneath the liner, is a petroleum-based product that's reacting with the liner and actually it's melting it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's dissolving it to the point where it's melting down into the bottom of the pool, and where that's puddling and sitting at the bottom, you can see it in pictures that it's pretty much just melting the liner. And I'm pretty sure that's why the leaks have gotten worse since we drained it and refilled it. So we're in process of working with them on getting this replaced. Basically, the whole liner will be replaced.
If they're nickel, right?
It's under warranty, so we're working on that part of it with them, yes.
But do we have any swimming season this year?
Oh, yeah, there's a meet this Friday, so.
Is it messing with the chemistry of the water?
No,
for
it is
causing
leaking-
Any issues?
it's
with the
leaking
kids' skin
bad
or
and
anything?
it's not messing with the chemistry other than it is leaking bad enough that we're having to catch it and we're diverting it to the drain, so it's not messing with the foundation. Because there's quite a bit of water going down there. Plus, we're adding water as it gets low, and so that's going to in turn use more chemicals. And so we do have an appointment with them to come up on Monday. So Friday, we have to shut everything down. This is a part of the process of what they want done. They want the pool completely shut off, all the automatic fills shut off, and let it just sit for a few days. They're going to show up on Monday and do an inspection, and he said he has a way of trying to tell them where things are leaking. Kind of determine that is what he hopes. At that point, he's going to set a schedule between Tom and Jasmine and myself when they can get up here. He figures it's about a 2 to 3 day project from the day they start till they're finished. Of course, we have to drain it the day before or within 24 hours before, and then refilling it takes a good 20 hours, and then getting the chemicals all back up to par. So we figured the pool could be down for another 7 days.
So where do they have to tear out the old liner?
They do, and replace the felt filament that's underneath. So,
Mark, are there any potential costs to the rec board for that?
I don't
remediation?
think there's going to be cost to, other than we're going to have to pay for water again. We just emptied it and filled it over Christmas, and we're going to have to do it again within who knows the timeline, but we did talk today. We had a meeting today, and we do want to try and stay away from affecting the boys swim season and the junior high swim season.
So what's that cost to fill it?
I really couldn't tell you, but it's 180,000 gallons of water. The labor to, have somebody there taking care of
Did
it.
we get a break from the city on water?
Oh, you can bill the people that didn't put the liner in. It'll cost them to fix
That's
it.
kind of my thought
Yeah,
too.
I mean,
If they didn't.
for the inconvenience.
Mhm.
But to answer your question, Scott, there shouldn't be any other cost to the rec mill or the district. There should not be.
Okay. Mark, with that, are there any other changes other than just the liner? Is there any other repair work they need to do during that?
Not to the pool itself. We did have a little bit of an issue with the plumbing leak downstairs that I'm gonna,
Now,
You
is
know.
that some of what we're talking about? Is that some of the bottom of the pool that's coming up? Is that the issue that you were mentioning?
are you talking about the liner itself?
Is that what's coming up? I know when the scuba people are in there, the bottom's really rough and it looks like it's coming apart. Is that part of the liner? I guess I don't know the whole, is it lined and then surfaced with something?
So are you talking about more when we had the glass tile in there?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
Because they talked about some of and it could be the glass tile, but it sounds like the bottom is coming up also. And that could be what you're talking about.
yeah. I think that the part that's kind of burning and melting that in there, it does look, especially underwater, it would magnify it. It does look like it's more of it's coming apart.
Okay,
And I do have some pictures here, if you'd like to take a look at those
okay.
and see that.
Yeah, I just, with Wendy being up there and stuff, I've heard that
Yes,
it's with the scuba people.
yeah. I do know when the tile was in there, the glass tile, before we
Yeah,
had that
yeah, I
removed.
know that was an issue, but I think the last time they were in there, it looked like Stu was mentioning something. Wendy could tell you more if it's not what we're talking about, maybe.
I'll make sure to
I'll have
ask
her
her.
call you.
Yeah, I'll make sure I ask her.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, I think that covers our projects that we have outstanding.
Okay. Now this UTV that we bought, that'll do the plowing and it'll do the fluffing of the.
Oh, yes, it'll
Where-
it'll haul all the equipment to rake and turf, rough up the rubber pellets and deep tine rake and also sweep the top of it. Yeah,
And we can use that on all three fields.
we
correct?
can. Yes.
All right, cool. Anybody have any questions concerning that or projects?
What about the Farson landscape project?
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Scott.
The
The
Farson,
Eden School
Yep, landscape
sprinkler
project.
sod and
Oh.
landscape project.
They're in the process of doing that.
Now,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The sprinkler system's all been installed.
Yeah, in fact, I talked to Barb Rosanico today over another thing, which I told her I'd bring up tonight at the rec board meeting. And she said that they have been out there working on it. Honestly, I haven't been up there. I've been kind of trapped in my office with this COVID stuff. But I do know that they submitted a partial bill. So I do know that they have been working on the landscape and did get the a good portion of the sprinkler system is already installed. So, and the other thing too that I think is on here, let's just go down the list here. I saw in one of the papers for the, on the Stagecoach Elementary, the gym. Okay, last time we talked, we were still trying to the manufacturers were trying to get back to us to tell us who could put it on the existing floor or did they have to put something else. By the time that happened, and the one company did say that, yeah, we can put it on the floor. It took so much time to get an answer. School started. So what I think we're going to end up doing is just going out and getting some prices again as the spring comes and just plan on doing it over the summer.
so you're
So-
still looking to fill in the crack and then go on top of it with a new covering?
Well, that would be our preference, is to just not even worry about filling in a crack, just putting on another subfloor on top, or putting a flooring system on top of what we have.
Oh,
And that was up to the manufacturer. Some of the manufacturers said, yeah, you have to fill in the crack and then you have to put something on top of that in order to be compatible with the flooring system. But then the one guy says, no, I don't think I have to do that. But we asked for him to validate and get some confirmation from the manufacturer whether that was okay or not, that they can just put it over the floor. But like I said, some of these guys this summer, and there's 1,000 reasons why nobody gets back to you. But by the time they got back to us, school was already in progress. So really, there wasn't a whole lot that we can do about it.
So manufacturers say replace it?
One company said that as long as they addressed the crack and filled it in, so basically
Right.
open up, a 6-inch space where the crack is, address it, fill that back in, that they would allow their liner to be put over the top of the existing gym floor. If that crack wasn't addressed, then they wouldn't warranty it.
So that'll have to be dealt with this spring and summer?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, opening up that crack, when you start routering concrete, it's just a dusty process. No matter how much they try to even use in a wet method, it's still a mess. So I think what we're going to have to do is just wait for the system, for the school to get over with. And by then, I think we can do enough investigation to see, is there another flooring system that would be better? Some of the schools and some of the gyms, for those of you who have kids and have gone around, they got some really nice, it's almost like the LBT that we put in. And it looks really good. It looks just like basketball courts. In fact, I've gone to some school districts that I thought I was on White Pine, and it was LBT flooring. And if it's just as cheap to do that as it is to come in, router that out, I would just soon not router out a crack, fill it in, if there's something that we can put over it and be just as good.
Okay.
I did want to talk to the board because I told Barb Rosanico that I would. Barb has been approached by the water conservation, Sweetwater County Water Conservation up in her area. And if I get the story straight, she says that they used to buy saplings to distribute it across the county, but they used to get them from Montana. And one of the issues is the elevation that they grow the saplings at, that when they transplant them here, they don't have a very good survival rate. So Farson Eden School has been approached, and she said just to throw this out, nothing is set in stone. When they finally do get something, she wants us to meet together. But I did want to bring it to this board's attention. They asked the Farson Eden School if they would be willing to raise saplings for them. The Water Conservation District would provide the saplings, and we have a field that used to be where the old ponds, the old detention ponds used to be, that they could possibly use. And I don't know what they would need, but if there was a cost associated with that, is something that would probably turn out to be a pretty big community project. And I don't think that they're talking, tens of thousands of dollars. Probably a small amount to bring in some dirt. And if they need a hoop type house, a greenhouse, to start the saplings and then take it down when the weather's, more conducive to growing them. I did want to bring that up to the board's attention. I did tell her, unless I misspoke, that cost needs to be in by March
1st.
March 1st. And so she has until then to get everything in order. If this is something that they're going to do, to get with Kelly and Scott especially, and see if this is something that the district wants to do, and then move forward on it. But they may be coming before this board if there is a need for a little bit of financial assistance in March.
Dan, excuse me.
Yeah.
Would this be something that the FFA could work on at Farson? I mean, it might be a way to do some stuff with that also, right?
I believe that that's the intention, is to, be doing something with the FFA or the FAA, whatever, Future Farmers, FFA, I guess. But generally speaking, in the past, when they've done small greenhouse, they try to get some of the folks in the community involved. In that community up there is pretty good about doing stuff like that. And I know that we try to do stuff that the community shows a good involvement in, but I told her I would bring it up to you guys, and so that's why I'm bringing it up.
So is it require an expense from us at all?
I think that if they do need some financial assistance for instance, for buying like the greenhouses, the portable hoop type greenhouses that you put in, they're Visqueen. I can't pay for that out of anything that I have. And I don't know that the district necessarily has that, the funding for that. So they may come to the rec board to ask for things that they might need for they do have a sprinkler system that they've had up there forever, replacement parts and things like that.
So that's
I
part
was
of the
going to say
submittal
something and then I
to
was going to
Kelly.
sneeze. Leo, if I might, on the agenda, one of the things that, if this board is so willing, I would send out some information to the administrators and the leadership team and let them know about rec board proposals. I would be very interested to see what the vision is on that project. She's talked to me about that informally too. But also just from the start, short-term goals, long-term goals, those kind of things. And then perhaps bring them before this board to prioritize if that was a route that we went, for that. And I think, John, on your question, I think it would align with the curriculum for Future Farmers of America, their ag component that they've got up there. I think that's actually where she's going.
I think that would be awesome, Kelly, because they could use those greenhouses also for, again, it's from another world, but we used greenhouses like that to grow plants and then have plant sales to further subsidize our FFA. So that would be kind of two birds with one stone if that's, unless that violates some kind of a rec mill kind of a thing. I don't know, but I would definitely welcome having that conversation.
I would too. I'd be interested. She's really good at planning things out like that with her school. So I think her proposal, if we gave her a little bit of time, would be very good.
So you're just giving us information right now. It's not something we have to move on.
Correct.
No.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
Anything else? Move on to the next agenda item. It's discussion of the junior high walking path.
Once before, I think I came before the board and told them that what I would do is look into getting some equipment. I walk that path, try to walk, especially when the weather's nice, almost every day. And since I've been doing that, the one thing that has amazed me is how many people use that path. And that is owned by us. It was given to us way back during the Jimmy Carter era, I guess, when they had the Bureau of Outdoor Activities. And there was at one time exercise equipment on it. And it is the old wooden exercise equipment, the same kind of stuff that we had to disassemble at the high school. It's about the same vintage. So what's left of that needs to be replaced. There was some pavement going along there. And that has long since been, it has never been, I didn't even know it was there until this year, been, taken care of. So there are lots of things as far as cleaning up, and I would like to present a plan, like a drawing, because I see an awful lot of the kids riding through there, and it's not just the junior high kids. It's the kids in the lesser grades, especially over the summer when I was walking that path, coming through their bikes, and they take the dirt trails and kind of, so I think that really has a potential to be a community hotspot. And I do know this, when it's not being used, we get squatters in there. We've had to have the police come a couple of times because people just think it's an abandoned park, and they find a brush where deer would normally lie down, and they camp out there. But as you start walking through, people, they see people, and it does keep other people out of there. So it does need to be cleaned up. That is part of the, I guess it's the part, and you might know more about it, Matt, part of the Army Corps of Engineers drainage system.
It is, yeah, there's a drain through there.
Yeah.
And it's pretty grown over down in there.
It is. And so, and not only is it grown over, but at one time we looked about, when I first got here, expanding transportation into that area. Since then, I've had Western Geology take a look at it, engineering and geology, and the majority of that is wetland. Not that you can't build on it.
Yeah.
All it takes is a lot of time and a lot of money. So at this point, it's ours. It's a nice area. It's underutilized as far as from a facility upkeep point of view. The community does use it. I would like to see it actually integrated with the track and field, so that when you're walking it, I mean, you go to the Green River Walk, and they have mile markers every so often. There's no reason why a person couldn't do that and kind of reroute around the track. I mean, that track takes up a huge area, and make it a really nice. It's funny because for a while there, when the weather was nice, I would get on at the same time every day, and there was an older guy who would start, and we would be almost in the exact spot every day. So I don't know who he is, don't know his name, he doesn't know me. We would wave to each other. as we walked. And he would actually go through the turnstile and go around the track and walk that. I mean, and not just him, but I see an awful lot of people walk in that area. It does need some doggy bags because people go for walks with their dogs now. And that's just a fact of life. Some people will pick up after their dog, some people don't. But
I thought you weren't supposed to have any pets in that area.
those signs are, yeah, a lot of those signs are old, and where you see the no pet signs mainly is over by the ball fields.
I know
So-
there was one little lady that she chewed on everybody that took a dog.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But, the reality is since COVID, you can't even, it's tough to get a dog out of an animal shelter because there aren't any. People go out walking with their pets. It is a good area. Like I said, not everybody picks up, but most people are pretty good. I tend to think most people are conscientious and want to have nice things. But if we don't take care of it, no one else will. If everybody thinks this place is overgrown and looks like, it's not being maintained, well, they're not going to have any pride and take any issues with it. But I do think that it needs to be cleaned up. I do think that a little bit of outdoor exercise equipment. And what I'd like to do is just budget for over the next 3 years, kind of like what I do for the local and for the state, is give a 3-year plan with a 3-year budget so that at the end of year 3, everything is where it needs to be. And people by year 1 see that we're doing something with it. And I think even our employees here during lunch, I see them walking around. That's a really nice park. There's no reason why people can't use it to its fullest.
So Dan, you said that you would come forward with a plan and
Especially after listening to what Kelly said, going out and having everybody so that we can prioritize. Yeah, I don't think I should be an exception. What I'd like to do is have a drawing of it. Well, I actually do have a drawing of it. What I'd like to see there, what we can do year 1, year 2, and year 3.
okay, so do we need to look for that then as a project proposal by the March 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. That'll
Yeah.
be one of the projects that be coming forward from all your leadership group. That we have to have that finalized by June.
Yeah, it'll come in to me on March 1st, and then our next meeting in May, I'll bring those forward. And then for this board to decide what they would like to do.
Kelly, really quick along with that, since we're right there. Since we have softball now, are we going to use in the future that, I know we talked about the old Lincoln School, but I don't think that's going to happen with money. Are we going to upgrade that softball area, and can that be part of that upgrade since they are pretty much connected right there? Is that something that you looked at?
Actually, we did. If you remember too, we bought a drag, and that was one of the, hopes that we can drag that field.
Yeah.
But that field does need,
It needs
for
a
girls
lot, yeah,
softball, it does.
To be playable.
Yeah, and I think, going back to your question is, yes, I think we need to put that in because that's not something that's going to cost, $100,000, $200,000, especially if we do it in stages.
Yeah, I just didn't know what the future plan was, and we
Right.
have the picnic area right there.
Mhm.
You have the walking track, and you'll have the softball field where people can go to the high school games, and you have a nice little area there if we can incorporate something all together, if that's the future
Right.
plan.
So
Um,
are
While
we-
someone,
Are we not even looking at using the city facilities for the new softball team?
well, I think we are now, but the discussion a few meetings ago was to possibly do something in the old Lincoln School area, making a sports complex there with the softball field. And
Indoor
so if we're going to
building and all
do,
that?
yeah, so if we're going to
remember
do a
that.
softball field, we have half of it there. I mean, it needs a lot of upgrade, but if we're going to be doing the track in the area, maybe we could do a whole project in that whole area right there and clean that whole area up.
I think we might have a public lynching. You do something like that when they're looking at closing schools and everything else. But
Well, not if it's coming out of this money, though.
yeah,
I mean, if we're looking to clean that
a
up,
lot of the
it's,
public don't realize where a lot of this money comes from.
exactly.
Kelly, did you need, were you going to say
No,
something?
go ahead.
Well, since you brought this up too, one of the other things, we have two options. One, we need to do something with that field because it's not just girls softball. Little League baseball uses that field.
Yeah.
And I see tons of people using that field for practice. So I don't think putting, $5,000-6,000 into that field to clean it up is wasted money. I think the
Well,
community
I'm
would
not
use it.
saying that.
Yeah, and but just to be clear, I think one of the things that we need, if we're going to look at girls softball, what we need to do is come March, because I'm going out for RFPs for the demolition of Lincoln. Now, one of the things is that once we demo that, the state does not pay for any extras. They pay to take it down and gravel it or bring it up with dirt. But at that time, if we can get a line item for putting in or updating, because there is kind of a field down there, it's just not really. But if we can get an update from the dirt crew that is doing the bulk of the demo, what would it take to basically lay out and put in a softball field? That would be the time to do it, I think. Because they don't have to mobilize. They're already there.
Yeah, and I didn't know if that money was going to be available to move forward with that project, the way the state's cutting.
Oh, no, they have actually asked me to move forward. The only reason, honestly, why it hasn't gone out to RFP is everyone from the state with COVID has been working from home. It's tough to take on more projects. Our project manager on the southwest corner of Wyoming has actually asked me, please don't go out for the RFP. This was back over the summer. He said, if you would, let's wait till your satellite school gets a little further along and some of his other projects, because he's one guy for the whole western Wyoming. He says, if you can wait, everybody's working from home. He says, it's really difficult to manage all these projects. So to be in compliance with his request, it wasn't until just before the holiday that I sent him a packet for the RFP to go through. He made some corrections. Once I redo the RFP with his corrections, we'll be advertising with probably in February, I think. Yeah, the middle of February, we'll be going out for RFP. So we'll have design for demo moving along with the hopes of the actual demolition happening over the summer. So, but no, that money has been allocated.
Okay.
2 years
it had
ago.
been, but
Yeah.
nothing got done.
Well, I still question whether we even want to put a softball field in when we got 4 of them out there at the complex.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
I just bring up the possibilities and the options.
I know we
That's-
discussed it before things got really bad, so.
The only thing I would say about that is for practice, for girls, it's kind of convenient just to have it down the street. Because-
I can understand, but I can't see spending a ton of money to
No.
add another field here that we're not even utilizing the ones that are already in place.
Leo, I think to go along with what you're saying, I think those discussions, as we work together with the city for the softball fields out north, I think that is a topic on how can we make that work together with what the city is needing, and what we need to. And I know Tom has started some of those discussions. I think honestly, COVID took over with it, but now with the new year coming in, those will be picked back up and then move it forward. But I know we've talked with the city a couple of times about those and what we can do, if there's something we can do to use those and work with the city with what they need to.
So is this still, is it moving forward as a spring sport or winter or fall sport?
It starts this spring.
Yeah, spring.
Boy, oh boy.
It's going to be hard to play, but in this state, but
I remember what it was like with kids in soccer.
in baseball. it's
Sandy
in the
and
middle.
And COVID.
90% of the games were snowed out. Okay. Anything more on that? On the walking path? Okay. Looks like we're gonna get a new representative. John's gonna bail on us.
I hope not. I asked to be left on this board if that's okay with you guys, but it could be that somebody else gets assigned.
That'll
Oh.
come out at Monday's board meeting on January 11th. Carol Jellicoe will share that information and we'll put that on the board agenda for that. Thanks, John.
All right. Kelly, it looks like the next one's up to you. You're gonna be
Yep.
top, you a little bit on this?
Yeah, I think one thing that I'd like to do also is a couple of things, actually. When I send out the information email to the administrative leadership team, we always talk about the projects that they're due March 1st. That's listed in the bylaws for the rec board. But I think the other thing, so that's one piece that I want to include, but the other is just a little bit more information. I believe that I should add in there, what does the rec board do for people? Maybe there's some administrators that know that, but I think there might be some out there that don't realize, what the money can be used for, what it can't. And I think a good idea would be to simply use, there was a document whenever we have a new trustee or a new rec board member, that it kind of outlines. I know Scott and I, we've worked on it, we've used it a couple of times, and possibly sharing that, the money is good. So when you plan projects, because I think sometimes, and I don't want to, go out and ask for a bunch of a business in tough financial times, but I do think if they understood, what can you use it for, what can you not? Think it through on a whole scope of a project. We've had that come before us too, where when you bring it forward and people are asking questions, of Dan, because it always ends up with Dan and Mark, it seems like, or with technology, one or the other or both, like the scoreboard. But, what entails the whole project, that kind of thing. I think that might be helpful, because the other thing that I've noticed, and please add as a board, but if they could have a little bit of extra time to think those projects through, but otherwise, if not, sometimes it comes before this board and it falls into discretionary. And which I think whatever is the pleasure of this board that you choose to do would be fine. But I think if there was a little bit more on the front end of that, that might help them vision out what a project could be. Maybe it's something that they've already thought of in their schools that would benefit school community, that fits that dual role for the rec board. But that is tentatively where I would like to go and get that out to them possibly in the next week. That way they have all of January, all of February, because sometimes the projects, one, like Dan was talking about, it takes some time to get that going. If it's really anything of substance, other than replace this or whatever, it is going to take a little bit of time. And we are in a different era right now, with what we're dealing with, not only health-wise, but also financially. So that would be my plan, if this board is good with that on number 10.
That's fine. I don't have any issues with it.
I like it.
Pardon?
No, that sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, is there anything else anybody'd like to bring up?
Leo,
Yeah, John.
we, as a part of that cost saving task force, we talked a lot about pay to play. And I don't know how that fits together with the rec board, but I'm wondering about those kids whose parents are not able to pay that kind of a fee. And I'm not as worried about the kids on free and reduced lunch, because we always find a way to help them. I'm talking about that single parent family that might be just above that level, where they really don't qualify for anything, but they can't afford to have their kids pay to be involved in athletics. And I just don't know where that fits, or if it fits here. So can somebody kind of give me a sense of that, and if it does fit, then we maybe put that on the agenda in the future, because I think that's the direction we're headed.
Well, I know that was a big topic and was brought up a lot. I think there was a few of us that are on the Sweetwater One Foundation board and the Carries Access. And we do a lot of that right now through Carries Access. So I think we're going to probably expect an explosion of that type of stuff if we go to pay per play. So I don't think that's necessarily a rec board thing, but I do see it being brought forward to Carrie's Access or the foundation as items that they might consider. I don't know if I'm wrong.
Scott, did you have any thoughts on, from the financial perspective? I would agree with what Leo is saying. When that was being discussed in the task force, I thought of the foundation and Carrie's Access too, just from a, where a lot of those would go. But I'm not sure on the proper use of rec mill funds. Scott, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but I think if that was a direction that the district went to, like John is saying, I think there is a group of kids that that may need some support.
I think we're going to see a ton of it. So
Yeah, we can certainly look into see what the allowability is under the statute for items like that. But I also echo your sentiment to Leo about the number of, or the expecting an increase in the number of people that need help
Yeah.
through the foundation. I think that's a very good vehicle for that to happen.
and if it was something that the rec board, if it was within their means, I would think it'd be more to reimburse Carrie's or the foundation than take each individual on. You know what I'm saying? It's, instead of us having to come here every quarter, which may be too late, to sit down and discuss who might need that support and whether they get it or not, whereas the foundation and Carrie's meet monthly. So,
Leo, I would very much appreciate us looking into that because I think it's good for kids. And it's kind of a way, as I see this rec board, we're taking our community's money to do good things for the community. And I think that's a great thing for the community. That's all activities, that's all athletics. So, whatever we could do, I'd appreciate us at least looking into it. Thank you.
When I look at, just a side note very quickly, when I look at the amount of meals that we're serving with free breakfast and free lunch now during the pandemic, we were given the flexibility from the feds and our nutrition services staff, they have implemented that, and the amount of meals that they're putting out for our families, it's enormous. And so I think, the longer that this goes and our state economy, I think that is a sign of what might be to come.
yeah, I know the backpack program for the foundation, we did well over 150 kids this year. We spent close to 30 grand on that. And it might even be closer to 50 right now. So there is a lot of need, and it's probably going to get higher and need more, I think.
I thought we looked at this once before
I don't think
for the
we've-
language on that.
Yeah. We've looked at the statute before, but not with respect to pay to play.
So would we be, I guess, the pay to play thing? Is that purchasing equipment, travel? I don't know what you guys consider pay to play. Is it totally done? So if my kid plays football, he buys his own stuff
No.
and then pays?
I don't-
Because if we're buying equipment and stuff like that, I could see that. But if
Yeah.
we're sponsoring,
I can.
is that how that works?
In most school districts that do pay to play, they simply charge you a fee,
Okay,
which may be $220 to play football.
okay,
And that gets you the right to just be on the team.
okay,
It doesn't buy you anything.
okay.
I can see what you're saying though, buying equipment stuff. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because if we're getting there and we need
participating in
equipment, possibly to fund, I mean, that stuff's a necessary, it's a necessity. But we'll have to figure it out.
All right. Anybody else have anything else to bring up? If not, our next meeting's May 4th. Is that going to work for everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks a lot for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.